What up, it's Brandon here. So Rollerblade has released their latest aggressive skate, the Blank SK Pro Skate. It's got the whole industry buzzing with a bunch of questions about it. As someone who was lucky enough to get it early, I thought I should try and answer as many of these questions as I can for you guys. Before I get to your questions though, there is some information I didn't know about the skates in the previous videos I've made so far, and that is the fact that these skates are a limited edition beta run. They're only making 2,000 of them. Although they do plan to make a shell for every size to size and a half, right now for this beta run there's only 3 shell sizes available. Rollerblade's plan here is to get some feedback from the public from this first run, maybe make some little tweaks and changes if there's any big problems with the skate before doing a full launch early next year. So if you're not in those sizes, you will have to wait, sadly. The way they're doing the half sizes is quite interesting too. When you get the skate, they come with these footbeds here. And this is how they do the size to size and a half. So what you do, if you are not a half size, you're like a size 10, you would put this underneath the insole in the liner, and that will fill the liner up a bit more and make it fit tighter so it fits you better than a size and a half. First question, how do they fit in comparison to solos? Well, I've never skated the solo, so I'm probably not the best person to ask. I've reached out to Rollerblade to ask, and they've told me that the sizing and the fit is exactly the same as a solo. So if you fit the solos well, you'll fit these the exact same way. What are the anti-rockers in the box like? Bearingless, plastic noisemakers, or proper spinning hard wheels? So I'll link to my video of the unboxing so you can see what comes in the box, but they come flat with anti-rockers and with the footbed. So you get the full package when you get the skate. Now to answer that question, the anti-rockers, here they are here. They seem like a quality anti-rocker. They're not ones with bearings, obviously, as you can tell, but they feel a lot better than the GCs. I skate flat these days, so I can't really test them out for you. I don't get the impression that these would be super clacky. They seem like a decent anti-rocker. Next question, price. Not that it matters to them. Well, the price of these skates, they are available for pre-order pretty much everywhere right now. They are $329 US for a pair. And like I said, they come flat but with anti-rockers. They have everything you need. I think that's a very fair price. Is the toe box on the liners high density foam or stretchy neoprene? I keep banging my toes, it feels bad. I feel you, man. There is a neoprene toe. They added that in since the solo skate. It's the whole way round, if you can see here. So they'll be good. They'll stretch your feet. This is a very premium liner, I think. While we're talking about the liner, I might as well talk about the other features. It has a good piece of grip down here on the side that stops the heel lift in it. The bottom is really grippy. It's almost like a shoe, so it really doesn't slide around much. It feels like the padding feels really good in it. It's got a lot of ankle support, and you can obviously tighten it and get stop a lot of forward flex or loosen and have some forward flex. And it even has memory foam in it, which is interesting. I had a memory foam liner once. I had the Trust memory foam liners, and they absolutely sucked, man. They were so uncomfortable. But from the one session I've had in these are very, very comfortable, and I'm very impressed with this liner. It seems like a super premium liner, high-end liner, a good one to come stock on the skate. I would love some feedback about the liner as compared to the Intuition. Sadly, I've never skated the Intuition, so I can't compare it. But like I said a second ago, it seems very premium. It'll be up there with an Intuition, I think. But, take that with a grain of salt. Also, I was wondering about the insole and skating in general. So the insole, that's a good segue. I'm very, very impressed with the insole for this skate here. As someone who's had foot problems recently, I'm learning all about the importance of insoles, right? This is quite a stiff insole, and it has a lot of arch support. You really notice it. As soon as you put these skates on, it feels like it holds your foot together. That's how Rollerblade described it themselves. They're saying you can get a better fit because this insole holds your foot up. It doesn't let your foot kind of squish out and fill out the boot. So unlike most other skates, this isn't like a very soft, squishy, impact absorbing insole. It's just like a supportive one. It seems to get most of the shock absorption in the skate from the shock absorber in the heel, which is an exceptionally good shock absorber. So here it is here. It sits in the boot and doesn't raise the heels, which is good. I like that. So to me, this is like the best of both worlds between, having an Aeon with a massive raised heel shock absorber and having a flat skate, with no shock absorber. This thing's really good. It locks in very well too. More of that's in that video linked in the corner, showing that off, but yeah. Would it offer enough support for big wheel skating, specifically wizard skating, say 4x100? Now, I'm probably the worst person to ask for this because I've never done any wizard skating, although I love it and I would love to try it one day. I do get the impression this would be a good skate for wizard skating. With the line of the 45 degree in the buckle, there's a lot of support in the skate. It doesn't feel like, like a rims or something. There's a lot of support to your ankle in this. How do the shells fit around your feet without the liners in them? Do you think you could downsize, or are the liners pretty low volume? So I tried this skate on without the liner in it, and there was much less room around my foot than I thought. And if I look at the liner here, it's got a lot of volume around the ankle around here. There's a lot of cushion, but around the foot, there isn't that much. It's quite a low volume liner. That being said though, I do think you could possibly get away with downsizing if you are a whole size. By that I mean, say you're like a size 10. I think you could possibly, if you did like a downsizing liner, fit in maybe a 9.5. What's the distance between the cuff bolts, ankle width? People don't talk about this enough, but it is actually so important. So that's a new question. I don't think I've ever heard someone ask that. It's a good question. I'm going to try measure. I don't really have the good tools for it. I'm going to use a flexi ruler here. So I got around 9 centimeters from measuring top of the bolt to the top of the bolt. It's probably very inaccurate. I'll take that with a grain of salt. But when I was wearing them, there's no pressure points anywhere on the skate. So I think you should be good. What skate size you have and how long the stock frame is. So like I said, I have the 10.5 shower. I got a 10.5 skate. This is a weird one because I do feel like the frame on this skate is too big. I think it should be a size down. I'll check it out though. If I measure from bolt 1 to bolt 4, it is 29 centimeters. So I don't know. When I was skating them, I didn't notice anything. They felt fine. Like they didn't feel too long at all. There was nothing really. I tripped up a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. I do get the impression that this skate should not have that size frame. It should be the size down. What's the liner like compared to the Rain V3? Also, is the boot wide fitting like an SL or narrow like an M12? So I've never skated the Rain V3, so I can't really compare it. Also, I've covered the liner enough so far. It's a good liner. It's a really good one. But as for the fit, I've skated both the SL and the M12. These definitely fit more like an SL. They're not a narrow feeling skate at all. I don't struggle to fit into them like with the M12s. The first day wearing them, they feel tight and they tend to kind of break in. But with these, this is the best a skate has ever felt for me first trying it on. I don't have wide feet, but I don't have narrow feet. I have pretty standard width feet. Obviously, the boot they compare the best to is the Rollerblade Solo. So if you have someone who has some solos, try them on. This is essentially how they're going to fit. Okay? Can you compare the frames next to the Aeons? Yes, I can. So here's the Aeons, right? I love this frame. Nothing is better than this for flat. Here is the Blank. Hopefully the bolts don't fall out so I don't have to do anything. You can see here, the groove is quite different. Like the wheels on the Aeon are obviously much further apart because they don't have to be UFS. And the groove is a lot shallower on the Blank. There's also a lot more wheel bite protection on the Aeons. And as for me skating them, they do not skate like Aeons. I would not buy this frame expecting it to skate like Aeons. This frame has pretty much no wheel bite protection at all. You're going to be hitting the wheels. I get the impression that after skating these and breaking them in, they're going to become unskateable without wax. They are interesting in the fact that you do kind of make your own groove. They don't really have any pre-groove in them, which is kind of cool. It means that you really break the skate in. But yeah, I definitely think this will be a better anti-rocker frame than a flat frame. And I think I even got told that from Rollerblade. Is it better than the Aeon 60? Now this is a hard question to answer because it really depends on the person. Obviously the Aeon 60, the good thing about that, when you get this out of the box, right, it is a great skate for skating flat. It's got a perfect groove, the best groove for skating flat because it doesn't have to dodge UFS bolts. For me, it's like anti-rocker but flat. Some people struggle, I don't, I love it. In comparison to the Blanks, the stock skate you get is not going to perform anywhere near as good for skating flat just because it's limited because of UFS, unlike the Aeon. So the groove's not quite as good, but it is better in a lot of ways because you can actually customize it. You can go find the best flat frame for you, chuck it on this. So if you're someone who really likes to customize your setup and try things out, then the Blanks are technically a better skate. But if you just don't want to worry about it, you want to have something out of the box good, then the Aeon 60s are better. Are these good for wide feet? Now I don't have a wide foot, but I would say these have a very good chance of being good for a person with wide feet. So I have some beautiful Rosie's 1992s here. Now this is notoriously a narrow foot skate. Okay? If I compare the two width, these are the same size. Well, they're meant to be the same size. But you can see the top down, these are a lot wider. So I think these are going to be a lot more friendly, like I said earlier, a lot more friendly to a lot more sizes of feet. What is the internal length dimension of the shell 10 to 10.5, which is the shell I have? Now, I don't have the tools to measure this, so I asked Rollerblade to help me out here, and I was told that the other size on the website is the length in millimeters. So this one is 285 millimeters long internally. Hopefully that answers that question. Comparing the cuff flex to the M12s. Well, I'll do that for you right now. I have my old Rosie's Jacksons here. These are definitely broken. I'll chuck them on and try to do like a Royale store and then do the same in the other. Let's see what it's like, okay? The Blanks have a lot more ankle support than the Rossies, so these have a bit less side-to-side movement and a bit less forward and back movement as well. That's probably because I haven't really broken them in. The Joes I skated for like over a year, so they're a lot more broken in. But yeah, they feel very different, so it's hard to compare. But yeah, these definitely have more ankle support. That's what I took away from that. I'm curious to know if it's the same width length shell as the solos, or if they did something completely new. I already answered that. They are the same internal mold as the solos. To dive deeper into that, I can tell you exactly what Rollerblade told me. They told me that the shell has been modified by closing the holes. They have a 100% brand new cuff, which fits closer to the ankle and provides the right amount of support and flex, which I think is very accurate for my one session on them. They feel good. There's a lot of ankle support, but it's still easy to do royales. They get the same size and fit of the solos because they felt those modes were best for street and park. But the other question is also, are the frames centered? I had issues with the solos feeling very unstable. When I skated them, they didn't feel unstable at all. I have skated skates where the frames have gone loose on some freestyle frames and they kind of like shift and they feel horrible once it's not in the middle. But if you can see, maybe you can be a judge for yourself. I would assume the mounting is the same as the solos, so they'll probably feel the same to you. But I mean, my impression, they didn't feel off center at all when I was skating. They felt like every other aggressive skate. And we got a question from Calvin. Shout out Calvin, Shred City Skate Shop. We love him. Do they feel heavy, and what would your personal setup be on them? When I was skating them, they didn't feel heavy at all. Like, I didn't notice it. There's nothing noticeable. I heard someone talk about this. I can't remember who. But having a heavy skate and aggressive doesn't change too much about your skating, you know. It's not like we're doing long distance where, you know, it will eventually drain you out. They felt fine. What would my personal setup be? I have no idea yet. I feel like I haven't been able to skate properly for so long now that I don't know what I like. But I would probably change the frames of some sort, chuck some laces in there. So I'd either use these skates to try out the Wish frames, because I've heard it could be a great combo because the frame sits low into the sole plate, so you lose a bit of height, so it's perfect for a tall frame. But I also probably would be just skating the prime frames because I want to try them out. But yeah, that's it. Good question though. How wide are the sole plates, including the negative, as it looks like the heel of the plate are smaller than the toe area? Now this question blew my mind because this is the biggest problem I have with them skates. The small heel on the sole plate has got me murdered on so many alley-oop sole tricks that I just never want to skate that skate again. And then after reading this question, I looked at the skate and we have a similar thing here on this sole. Like if you see here, the heel is definitely smaller than the toe. That being said, when I was skating this, I didn't feel it at all. They felt much better than the thems did. No flame. I love thems, but you know, like I did a few alley-oops, obviously unlimited because I can't really skate as long as I want. But the few alley-oops I didn't fall out. The heel, the sole plate locked in good. I had no false locks like the ones I got in the them skates. But it is interesting that the skate has a smaller heel like that. And I didn't even notice. How's the flex? Now I kind of answered this already as well. But the flex is good. There's a lot of ankle support, but I still find it easy to do royales. Top sides feel good. I missed my first sole grind because there wasn't any forward flex when I went to jump, and I'm not used to that. And I think that's strictly just because I had the liner tied up on the top. It's tied up really tight. And it obviously stops forward flex. So, and I got used to it and it was fine. I kind of liked it. It like protects your ankle, you know. If you do like forward flex, then you can just undo those laces or take them out completely, and I'm sure they'll feel just like every other skate. As the frame is connected straight to the boot, does it feel wobbly or less responsive than a Rossi's M12? The frame feels really good connected to the boot. It's definitely better to have the frame connected to the boot versus the sole plate. It's definitely early days. I haven't skated these long enough to really give a strong comparison, but they feel just as, if not more, responsive than the M12s. The feeling is similar to how I remember the Razor SL. You can just like really feel where the frame is. It's a good feeling. I like it a lot. I think the sole plate is genius. Then we've got 3 great questions from the Squilly Experience, who you should definitely check out his channel. He's the man. What is your favorite part about the skates? That's a hard one, man. My favorite part, I have a lot of things I really like about the skate. I'll just go through the ones I like a lot. I really like the fact that the sole plate is cut out for the frame. I think that's genius, like I said a second ago, for the same reasons. I really like the shock absorber just because it fixes the problem I have where you usually have to choose between having a raised heel or having no shock absorption. And this solves that because it's, as far as I know, it's not a proper raised heel. It might be. Because this gives you cushion without raising your heel up heaps, which is bad for your foot. Don't raise your heel up. And the other thing I really like about them is the insole. I didn't even skate them, but I love this insole. When I put them on, if I wasn't superstitious about making my feet worse, I would skate these because it's a great insole. It supports my arch. That's my 3 favorite things about the skate. Okay? What is my least favorite part? My least favorite part is probably the weight of the frame. This is a very heavy frame. It reminds me of, it's even worse than I remember the Rossi stock. It just seems unnecessarily big and clunky. Like it has these big pieces of plastic in there. They're never ever gonna break, but yeah, I don't know. It skates well, and I don't notice it skating, but I definitely do not like that they're heavy. The boot itself isn't too bad. If you could add or change one thing, what would it be? I would probably change the frame. I don't know what I'd change it to, but I would do a more flat specialized frame that was maybe a bit lighter. Jeremy asks, can I have them? Yeah, you can. Come pick them up tonight. I'll leave them out on the doorstep, okay? Is it going to be available in marble white? It's only going to be available in black, at least for the next few years. I'm sure Rollerblade's working on some new colorways, but they'll be a while off. How are the frames go with the straight to shell mounting? Won't it be lower, like much lower? Now, when I saw this comment, it did give me concern, so I went straight away and measured how much height you lose and how much bigger the blank frames are than normal frames. And you don't lose much at all. And I can tell you right away, I have some pretty standard, they're not standard, I guess, but the symmetric frames here. And the blank frames are the same height as every other frame. So it's not like it's an extra tall frame. I measured the sole plate and you only lose 6 millimeters. So it's pretty much like the SL. So if you've ever seen a Razor SL, you do lose some height, and that helps with Royales a lot. But, you know, it's nothing crazy. It's not going to be too different. Like that. You can see that looks very standard. It almost looks exactly how it looked on my M12s. It actually looks really cool too, but I can't skate these because they literally have got me off skates for a whole year. How do they look without the sole plate, and are they stable enough for big wheel blading? We can do that right now. I'll take the sole plate off and put the frame back on. And I tell you, we'll see what it looks like. Let's try it out. Here's what it looks like without the sole plate, and it looks a little funky. I will say the frame looks more out of place now than it did before. Like it's too big. We're almost too far set back. Weird. So you can do it. It is weird though. I can literally see through it. I don't know if you can tell by there, but you can see right through it in the middle there, so it's not even touching. I wouldn't recommend doing it though, because you might as well just get, Rollerblade has a ton of rig skates you can get that'll be better for that. And you'll be better off just rolling around and keeping the sole plate on. It ain't worth the effort of taking it off. And you'll also start bumping the threads out, and it'll be hard to put the sole plate back on. It wouldn't be worth the extra benefit you get just for that little bit more turning. It looks alright though. I don't know. It looks very old school. It's cool. How do they look without the power strap? Man, you're making me Frankenstein these skates, but we'll take it off. Let's see how they look. Here's what the boot looks like without the strap. It's a little weird because you will have the thread or the holes here, kind of like the Aeons. You just had the bolt here, and it's kind of weird looking. It's definitely better to have the bolt still in there, I think. I wouldn't recommend taking it off. I think it's better with it there. It's a good buckle. It's on there really well. It doesn't move around a lot. It does add a good amount of extra support. It holds your laces down too, so they're not flying around. Here's how it looks without the buckle with the sole plate. So it'd be fine, passable if you don't want to have the 45-degree strap. Do you think the skate with compatibility issues with some aftermarket frames? Now, I would assume no. I think Rollerblade's smart enough to look into this, but I was getting a bit worried here because when I look at the blank frame, it does kind of curve up at the ends. Like it curves up, and that kind of avoids the sole plate. So when I put it in, it's not touching the sole plate at all. But then I have these here. I have the symmetric aluminum frame. This is a smaller wheelbase. The blanks are a 290. These are a 270. I don't have the bolts, so I can't put it on without taking the wheels out. And I really can't be bothered, so I'm not going to do that. But when I put it in, it's sitting on top of the sole plate, if you see there. And now my first impression of that is, like, I'm worried that the UFS bolts, like, it's not touching. Like, there's a gap, and it's just all the pressure's on the sole plate. But from the design of this, when I look at it, the sole plate actually curves down at the front and the back. So it's designed so that frames can rest on it, and then it's like the lower part of the sole here and here is flush with the inside of the boot. So the frame kind of is sitting on the sole plate, but only at the toe and the heel. And just from that comparison there, they even like kind of gouged it out so that there's like a square there. I think any frame's going to fit on it. You might have some minor issues, but nothing that'll stop frames getting on it. As long as it's UFS, it should fit on it. I feel like I have to try this out, otherwise people are going to get mad. So I'll take the wheels out of these frames. You have no idea how annoying this is, but I'll do it for you guys, okay? So you better like for the fact that I'm doing this, okay? I'm going mega overtime right now. Alright, here we have the world's most expensive freestyle frame. Let's try it out. There we have it, the worst setup ever, but that fits on fine as far as I can tell. It's sitting on the boot and the sole plate like I expected. So if you can see there, the frame can literally get longer and longer and it will be fine. And I mean, this is a thin aluminum frame, but there's plenty of room in there for a wider frame. It's going to have the same fit as a Razor SL, which has been around for years. Frames have kind of adjusted to needing to have that groove to fit things in. So yeah, I think they're going to fit any frame. How is the backslide groove out the box, and how is the cuff flex for top sides? How are the sole plates on grinds, and how much forward lean are there? That's some good questions. So the backslide groove out the box, if you saw my first impressions, linked in the corner as always, it might be this corner. They were fine. The backside groove was great. I didn't think it would be. It looked like a groove you'd have to break in. It's my left foot, so it's not a good example. And it is a groove you have to break in, but I was skating a pretty nice ledge. And it was fine. No real bites, no problem getting boot down. The groove lines up great. It was fun. This is a good groove. How's the cuff flex for top sides? Honestly, top sides felt so good. You'll see I had a quick reaction in the same video. When I did the top acid, that's the only top side I did before I was too hurt to keep skating. They felt really good. They felt fast. It felt like a really fast top side. I was very impressed. And I saw Rollerblade did a breakdown, and I think this is why it feels so good. The shape of this frame here, it's like rounded off. It's hard to tell, but it's rounded. So when you're doing a top side, there's only a tiny bit of the boot touching the ledge, like a tiny bit. So it's very low friction. It feels good. The flex was fine for top sides too. It wasn't hard to get locked in. It wasn't like extra work on my knees. My knees tell me straight away when I have to put more work on them because of a stiff skate. They are really good for top sides. The sole plates in general do feel fast as well. They've got these little like cutouts here to make it a bit faster. They feel fine, much better than the Aeons. And as for the forward lean, I haven't skated the solos, but it is the same build as a solo, so I'd assume it's the same. For me, they felt very not leaning forward because I'm used to the Aeons, so it was very flat foot feeling for me, which was good. They were good. How good is the shock absorbing on the skates? Now, I can't test it out because I have been out of skates for testing shock absorption for the last year. But I would assume it's very good. The Insole, the built-in shock absorber seems very capable and very good. Then we have a really good question from Told and Retold. What royalties will Sean Keane get? Is Rollerblade paying their skaters well? So I decided to reach out to Sean Keane for this one because I thought he would probably be the better person to know if he's getting treated well from Rollerblade than Rollerblade themselves. And Sean Keane has told me that he is getting a $8 royalty per skate sold. And there is 2,000 of the beta, so I think that's very fair. Rollerblade's treating him well. I don't think he would be there if they weren't paying him good. So buying the skate, you directly support Sean Keane, who is the man, which is good. I like to see that. And I like that they're not closed dooring the royalty there. Sean Keane gave you the okay to say it. Don't come for me, Rollerblade. This whole connected to the boot and the sole around it, isn't that what the SR has been doing this whole time? I would argue no, it's not. It's similar, but I think what the Blank has done here is better. So with the SR, what they've done is they've kind of chopped the bottom of the boot off and had the sole plate become the bottom of the boot. So the frame feels close to your foot and they feel great because of that. But these, it's better because it's not like you're bolting a frame to a sole plate, which is then bolted to the boot. It's just directly bolted to the boot. So there's a lot more responsiveness there and it feels really good. But yeah, it's similar to the SLs, especially with the sunk in frame, very similar to the SLs. Can you do a full analysis and compare them to every skate ever produced with pros and cons of each? That will help everyone's questions. All right, I'll get started right now. Let's get on. I'll see you in 20 years, dude. Are you having trouble with wheel bite on those frames? It seems kind of tight. I haven't had wheel bite problems at all yet. I don't know if I've just super adjusted to flat. I haven't had problems with wheel bite for a long time. But out the box, my first session, no problems with wheel bite. My Royales, I think the wheels were touching, but it didn't stick on me. They were fine. It is early days. I can't skate them again. I've only skated them once, so things could change. I do see this frame, once it really wears down, being a frame where you're going to get wheel bite no matter how much I do it. Kind of like the Rossies were for me, the Rossi stock frame. They were great until I wore them down to a certain point, and then it was impossible to not get wheel bite. I get the same vibes. Then we have a question from Killbot. Will you send them to me? You're banned. Then we have a bunch of really good questions from Kippy Kittens. What is your millimeter foot size, or what size do I have? Do they feel like they run small, big, or true? I'll do that one first. So my foot size is, so I'm trying to measure my foot and I'm just doing it with a ruler. I'm not doing a good job. I got a bunch of different results. I'm somewhere between a 27 and a 29 centimeter foot. I got the size 10.5, which is the sharp 10 to 10.5. I ride them without the little footbed in it that makes them a size 10, and they feel very true to size. I've always got a 10.5. These feel great. There's no pressure points. They feel like the perfect size. They're not too big and they're not too small. They're great. Do you wish there were more colors, but also do you think there will be more colors when other sizes come in 2022? I definitely wish there was more colors. If you've heard me rant about skates enough, I love when companies take risks and do something crazy. And this is a very, very safe looking skate. 99% sure there won't be more colors in 2022, but Rollerblade has the power, so maybe they could prove me wrong. I would love to see the classic, the Lightning Rollerblade, the first ever one, like a colorway like that. Someone did a mock-up on Rollerblade. Shout out to them. That would be so dope. I also love this bright yellow they have hidden away in the skate. I think that would look sick on it too, but yeah, I don't know. Do I have any pets? Unrelated, but I'm just curious. No, I don't have any pets. My apartment won't let us, and it's very sad because I would love to have pets. I have family pets. Oh, also, do the cuff bolts seem weak and prone to stripping like the Aeon cuff bolts? I have to be careful with my Aeons. So luckily, I avoided ruining my Aeon cuff bolts thanks to Corey English. Check the video. He saved my life. The hardware on Powerside skates, I think, is very lackluster. And honestly, I do get a similar vibe from these skates. I've had to take the sole plates off twice now. I've taken the frames off like 3 times. The bolts don't feel good. They're starting to, it feels like it wouldn't be hard to strip any of the bolts. It's starting to feel like they're stripping already, And then when I go to the symmetrics, which I took the wheels off a second ago, these feel so much better. These bolts feel so much better. Like, you don't have to be like super careful when taking them on and off, I don't think the bolts are going to come out as much as they do on the Aeons and stuff, but they definitely aren't premium hardware. How do you like rolling around on those square wheels? I know that's a joke because the graphics are square on them, but they're great wheels. I mean, so far they feel good. They are 92A, they're 60mm, they're fine. I didn't chunk any in the first session, which it happens. You can chunk wheels in the first session. It shouldn't be a rule to test it out, but it is. They're definitely worn down a little bit, but they feel good. They're not too hard. They didn't grip up hard when they touch the ledge. They feel good. Good wheels. And bearings. Very fast. Sole plate width compared to the Aeons. I can get the exact millimeter for you. Let me check it out. It's 4.5 centimeters at the toe and 3.8 centimeters at the smallest part of the heel, all the way at the back. And the negative side is about 3 centimeters at the toe, a little bit over 3. And then at the heel, it is just under 3 centimeters. So it's not a big sole plate, but it doesn't feel small. In comparison to the Aeons though, the Aeons negative plate is 3.5 centimeters and the sole plate is 4.5. So it's pretty similar, except for the negative on an Aeon is absolutely massive. And the Aeon sole plate is a lot more symmetrical. They don't feel like they have small sole plates, they feel very standard. They don't feel like I'm going to miss any sole tricks or anything or top sides. They're good. How much lighter are they with other frames? Now, this is kind of pointless for me to put other frames on and weigh it because it really depends on what you skate. But I did in this video linked in the corner where I unboxed the skates. I weighed them with and without frames. More than half the weight of them was the frames. So I don't know, I'll work out exactly what it was and put the number here. But that's how much the boot weighs. Tying into the same question, we got one from Scott asking how much wider is the toe compared to the heel and the sole plate, and do they rock? They definitely rock when they're on a thing. I can't really show you with this angle, but maybe I'll film another angle for you. Instead of rocking, I mean, every skate's gonna rock because it's rounded, right? It's the shape of your foot. But they sit kind of in a different position for a set slide. If I'm seeing this here, I haven't done any set slides in it, so take it with a grain of salt. You know how there's grooves that line up directly, like on a 90 degrees, and there's a 45-degree angle backslide to groove setup. It makes a set slide kind of like that, where it looks like your foot's going to be a bit more heel forward for set slides, which will be fine. It's still flat, mostly flat. I don't think you'll be unstable on set slides at all. Anyway, that's all the questions I'm going to answer today. I've been doing this for 2 hours now, so pray for me in the editing room. It's going to take me forever to make this. Thank you for giving me questions to answer. Hopefully I helped you out. I try to answer everyone I could. This is good for me because I can't skate right now, so hopefully I can help you rather than doing a review by answering your questions. I will have a review coming. This is my top priority to skate this as soon as my health lets me. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe to check it out. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope it was worth your time. I'm going to link now to the 2 other videos I've made on these skates. If you're still curious and you haven't seen them, I've got my first impressions, first day skating them. And this is where I took them to a ledge, tried them out. First time, real time, my reactions to skating them. And then I have my unboxing of the skate. I cut out the unboxing part. It's just pretty much my first impressions touching them, not skating them. And yeah, they're both good. This one's on my new channel, so make sure you watch that one and go sub to it. This is my stream highlight channel. Join me on Twitch as well. I'd love to see you there. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good night. Go skate, and I'll see you later. Peace out.